keep talking about the book Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. Um, so was it I think I left off last video talking about how I really like the first chapter. Yeah, so the first chapter is pretty much entirely first person, and it kind of says the way the chapter ends is it says like this is what the first um, book's gonna start like this, book's gonna end like this, and I don't know, I just really like that part. Um, and it's super heavy-handed the way that he says. Like I'm writing an anti-war book, um, and he described like the process of writing it with his friend, that he's like trying to go through like the old war memories with. So, um, I mean, it is like extremely direct. It is literally in the first person. Um, so I can see how it can come off as super like cheesy. Um, but yeah, um, the the way that the book ends. Um, it ends with the actual bombing of Dresden, and the chapter is like super super short. Um, and that was it. It's the way that it's like mirrored the first chapter and the last chapter. Like in the first chapter, he really just says I don't like have a whole lot to say about like what happened. And there it really is like super short. The actual description of the bombing, the actual climax. Um, and I guess he kind of puts like his own little like notes in it, like the way that he was it? He says that this one like survivor of the bombing, he's found caught stealing a teapot, and then he's like executed. And like Kurt Vonnegut, this is in the first chapter, in the first person, he says, I it's supposed to be like this great irony, he survives like this insane bombing, and then he dies anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean. It is literally like his own analysis of the book that he's writing. And this isn't even like a forward that's written like on the 10-year anniversary like edition or blah blah blah, like sometimes authors will write like a forward to their book and like talk about a little bit about it in the first person, but I mean this is literally like the book. First chapter. This is canon. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed the book. Even though I didn't even really enjoy like the alien part of it. I thought the alien part was super weird. Uh, thought a lot of the book was super weird. Um, oh, I'm wearing gloves. I didn't bring a towel outside, so I just had to do push-ups with gloves. Anyway, uh, back to what I was talking about. I used I used the word traumatized uh, to like describe myself, I guess, in the last video. And I guess I always had a hard time like identifying with that, I guess. Um, you know, I do really take a lot of pride in like being a professional in the sense that I don't try to make other patients' suffering my own. That's like a huge thing for me. Um, you can't just like take somebody else's suffering and like try to make it your own. Like that's selfish. Um, but also on the other hand, you can't like go through all these things um, and not have it affect you. Um, I mean, it's like literally impossible to not like feel something unless like you were an actual psychopath. Um, but like you have to be like empathetic to the patients. It makes you like a better care provider, uh, having some empathy. But you can't make like other people suffering your own. So in that way, like I really like try like for a long time I was like, no, like I can see really bad things and like I'll be fine. Um, but it is like it does affect you, um, no matter no matter how much you want it not to. One of my sister, she said like when I was describing um, everything that was going on, she's like, oh, like are you like do you think are you like traumatized by all this? And like I think that was the first time I was like I just had like a really negative reaction to it. And I went back and I thought like, oh, like why Like why do I like really not like that label? Um, and I just had to really like reflect on like, oh well, probably yeah, you know, um, because I mean, you just don't want to like look weak, and also like in my case, like the whole not making patients suffering my own, it's just hard. Um, so yeah, no, I do think like I'm a human being. You can't just like watch people suffer all day, not have it affect you. Um, and like a lot of my coworkers and I talk about that too. As far as like a lot of them just are like, oh, I don't want to be in healthcare at all anymore. Like I I I I wanna do something else. Like I don't want to work in healthcare. I don't want to like, go on and do something else. Um, like in the healthcare field, like I want to do something else entirely, which I like totally get because it's just a lot of just like watching people suffer all the time. Um, anyway, that was kind of just like a little side note on the whole traumatized label. Um, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna end that there. By the way, Detroit Lions got their first playoff win. The Rams lost, unfortunately. I'm a Rams fan, but I used to be a Detroit Lions fan before that. So I'm happy for the Detroit Lions. But I can't just like go from one bandwagon to the other. And you know, anyway, it's just a side note. But yeah, uh, that's kind of all my thoughts that I really had on the book. It was a really good reread. I just like finished it like right before I start recording. But yeah, that's all. I'll see you guys tomorrow.